Hey everyone, it's Brian QK, and in today's video we're going to have a look at Sony's new PS5 DualSense Edge controller, which has been receiving a lot of love and hate from the gaming community, for many different reasons, and with this video I want to share with you what my experience has been like, and I also want to share the 3 main reasons why I decided to buy it. But I'm also going to talk about a really annoying problem which I discovered while using the controller in these past few months, that I haven't seen anyone really covering so far. So make sure to stick till the end. But before all of that, we can have a quick unboxing to check out what the controller comes with. So, opening up the box, we can have a first view over the hard case the controller comes in. I can start by saying that this seems to be really solid actually, and I like the way it feels and looks, with this simple design that fits well with the rest of the PS5 lineup. Here in the back we actually have the possibility of opening the small pocket so that we can conveniently charge our controller while in the case if we like. Opening up the case we can see we have a bunch of accessories and the controller itself. We have 2 additional pairs of thumbstick cups, 1 pair being high dome and 1 other low dome, and we also have 2 sets of back buttons which include the standard levers that you often find in Pro controllers, and 1 pair of alt domes which are indeed a great alternative to have. And last but not least we have a 2.8 meter USB cable which connects to the controller via USB-C, and we also have the option to lock it with the included connector to make sure it will not fall out at any moment while playing. But let's now have a look at the controller itself. As you can tell, it looks very similar to the standard PS5 controller, but I have to admit that at the same time it also looks a lot better with the different buttons being blacked out, and this fancy design that kind of reminds me of the PS5 shape. It also appears to be slightly heavier and overall very comfy to hold, probably due to the fact that apart from the looks, the controller has also received a few upgrades in ergonomics. Like this pattern that helps having a better grip when playing, for drastically reducing the possibility of your fingers slipping away. Looking at the rest, we have as well some new buttons and functions around the controller. Starting with the front, we can notice that we now have 2 function buttons just here under the thumbstick, which lets us quickly switch between controller presets, but lets us also adjust both game and voice chat if needed. And that's a great new added feature. Still here on the front we also have now the possibility of switching out the stick models in case we will experience any type of drifting, as it usually happens after some time, and we also can switch the cups themselves by pulling them out and replacing them with the ones we prefer the most. But moving on to the back of the controller, we have the next 2 big features, that being the configurable rear buttons and the adjustable triggers. And here we will jump directly into the 3 main reasons why I think you should buy this controller. The first one being the incredible advantage that you actually get in many competitive games, like Call of Duty for example, where all these different features will have a great impact not only on the way you play, but also the kind of experience you will get when playing. It's a simple argument, but it might get overlooked by a few people, that overall improving your gameplay also greatly affects how enjoyable a certain game can be for you. And I personally have found a great value in that, which pushed me toward actually buying it. But moving on to the second reason why I decided to buy this relatively expensive controller is because it's basically a one-time buy that will last throughout the years of owning a PlayStation 5. With the new added feature of the stick modulus replacement, Sony solved one of the most common reasons why people actually find themselves buying multiple controllers during the lifetime of a generation of consoles. That being the thumbstick actually drifting over time to certain directions that can get quite a bothersome experience in many scenarios. And from here we jump directly into the third and last reason, being that this controller not only is really ergonomic and easier to hold for extended periods of time, but also lets you personalize every little part of it to what you like the best. And we can do that both physically by switching the different interchangeable buttons we have, or by quickly deciding how sensitive the triggers will be, and also digitally by the many options the software offers on the PS5, as we can create a personalized profile for each type of game to greatly improve our experience. Having a quick look at what I exactly mean, we can see that we have options like assigning buttons however we prefer, but we can also go much more in depth than that by customizing, for example, exactly how sensitive our aiming is gonna be and what type of curve it will follow. We can as well decide to adjust the controller vibration to our preference, and also the same goes for the trigger resistance. But now we can finally talk about the most annoying thing I personally experienced with this controller in the past few months. That being not only the controller picking up dirt quite easily, but I especially want to talk about the rubber grips, which after 3 weeks of usage have been showing signs of yellowing that eventually did become worse. Now, some of you might think that this is due to poor hygiene when handling the controller, but I can assure you that I've been really careful, especially in the first few weeks, on how I treated this controller. I'm also not the only one who has experienced this problem, as I've found different Reddit posts with people having the same issues even after the first few days of owning it. Now, it doesn't seem possible to clean this away after trying multiple solutions, so it's probably just a fabric defect, but it's important you count this in when deciding if to buy, because that could also happen to you. Apart from that, you also should be aware that the battery of the Edge controller is slightly smaller than the one we find in the standard DualSense, but that has not been a big no for me, as I mostly find myself using the provided cable to reduce input lag when playing. So, recapping. I did enjoy my time using this controller, and I found it a great upgrade from the standard DualSense Edge. And compared to SCUF controllers, what you get for the money is actually not that bad. But the yellowing issue, even though being something purely aesthetic, is something that could have pushed me to wait for maybe a black version of this controller, or maybe Sony actually fixing the issue somehow. But what do you guys think about the Edge DualSense controller? Is it worth buying for you? Let me know in the comments. And I hope this video was somewhat useful, and if so, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, as it massively helps me out. For today it's a wrap, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, Kukai out.